Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad to have y'all here. Whether you found me through a friend, saw me on social media, or if you've been following me a while, I saw a few familiar names on the registration tonight. Just super glad to have you here. And this class was made intentionally for you. So today is not sales pitch. It's not a traditional kind of teaching class for you guys who have been in my communities before. I'm actually going to teach you something a little bit more rounded. And at the end, you will know more than most people who have been investing for years. All right. And so if you stay to the very end, I also have a special bonus for you. So welcome. All right. So who am I and why am I best suited to teach this content? So again, there are some of you who I'm meeting for the first time. So hey. And for those of y'all who've been rocking with me for a while, super glad to have you here as well. So I'm Dr. Tiana Rogers. I'm a career and wealth expert. I've spent the better part of my career helping, supporting, advising high impact women, helping them reclaim their time, build their wealth, and create work optional legacies for themselves or for their children. Doctor is not a stage name. I am a trained scientist, so I'm a PhD. I prescribe perspectives, not prescriptions, all right? For over a decade, I taught in a university-based business school where I continue to serve as an advisor. And over the past decade, I've secured millions of funding for social impact investing. I've worked with big brands like JP Morgan Chase, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Netflix, Starbucks, Target, Airbnb.org, Thurgood Marshall College Fund, all of them, right? Teaching them how to use data to move social and financial capital for greater good. Ultimately, I've spent years helping organizations invest millions of dollars, billions of dollars. I've sat at tables where financial decisions are made. And over those years, I've noticed something. Number one, lots of women are not at those tables. Number two, lots of women of color are not at those tables. And I know, right, being a woman of color, that it is not because we're not capable. It's not because we're not smart enough. It is because no one has taught us. And so I've spent so many years helping organizations invest billions and millions. And now I teach women how to invest in themselves in the same way. So this is where I make a request of you. Wherever you are, I want you to pause, take a deep breath, and be present, right? This hour is really going to be transformational. If you give it your full attention, it's for sure going to change the trajectory of your life, right? So up until now, a lot of the things that I share in here are behind a $6,800 mastermind paywall, which is my private community, Legacy League. And I wanted to open up this conversation and this information because I am on a mission to teach 1 million women how to have both impact and peace. Having worked in impact investing, I know that purpose and profit are not mutually exclusive. And that is God's heart for us, to have money, to be able to compound that money, to be able to grow that money, and to bless others with it. And I know from experience that amazing women who have more money do more amazing things in the world because women are just naturally more generous. And it's hard to be the change in the world when you don't have any, or when you're too burned out to actually enjoy the money that you've accumulated. So it's important. Okay. My team and I have put a lot of time into this curriculum. I've contemplated for a long time, actually, whether I wanted to do anything free, because I believe when you pay attention. And so we have opened this up because we want to continue in the mission of reaching that 1 million women. So I really want you to be here and soak in the value. Okay. Now, you've got some permissions of engagement, right? As we jump into this content. Okay. Number one, I want you to be present. Value this time away from distractions, right? Be here with us. Number two, I want you to be challenged. Be open to trying new ways of thinking, new ways of being, new ways of engaging, right? Number three, be perplexed. It is very important that you recognize that confusion often comes before deep learning. That is okay, and it's totally appropriate, okay? Number four, be optimistic, okay? You can accomplish your goals and live your dreams, and I'm gonna show you how. Now, let's run through the quick agenda, right? This is what we're covering. I've packed a lot into this hour because all of our time matters, right? So we're going to move quickly, but I promise you everything will make sense and you'll feel a lot more confident when you leave here, okay? Rest assured, no experience is needed, no math degrees. I don't have a finance background, right? All that's required is to just show up ready and willing to learn, all right? So let's get into it. Why every woman should absolutely be learning this skill, okay? And when I say skill, I'm talking about trading, options trading, okay? So some of you have probably heard like people talk about trading. That can be a variety of things. It could be crypto, it could be gold, it could be Forex, right? There are a variety of things that people mean when they say that word very broadly. What we're talking about today is options trading, okay? So if you think about, right, your income or your job, your career, maybe even your business income, right, you've got a ceiling, really, right? Because you have this salary. If you're working at a job, you have this salary, right? It's capped by title, employer, maybe your history, your experience, the hours maybe you're putting in, but it's also at the whim of your employer. You're at the whim of layoffs. If there's budget cuts, if there's a change in priorities, right? It leaves you extremely vulnerable. If you are a business owner or an entrepreneur like me, right? You can grow. There's lots of ways to grow, right? I work with business owners all the time, right? But the growth takes time, especially if you're leaving a 9 to 5 to launch a business, right? And it carries a lot more risk. There's a lot more ebbs and flows in entrepreneurship, right? You could have a super, super up month, and then you could have late payments from clients the next month and be struggling, right? And what I know to be true, having researched Black specifically, Black women-owned businesses in my research firm, I know statistically 98% of them are solopreneurs, meaning they are women who work in their businesses on their own. With that, right, you're creating a bottleneck for your business. You're not able to grow if you're the only one working in the business, and you actually aren't an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs create jobs and they contribute to an economy, right? So you're just a business owner, okay? That's a problem, right? That's a ceiling, right? When we think about a skill like trading, right? This is something where you can actually generate income independent of how many hours you work. It's not required to have clients or contracts or to provide a product or any of that. You're literally sitting down at your desk pressing buttons, right? And when I talk about trading in our community and Legacy League, we're not talking about quitting your job. Do some people quit their jobs and trade? Absolutely, because they're able to make enough money to do that, right? This is not about quitting your job, and I'm not here to tell you to quit your job. What I'm here to tell you very clearly is that you have options, right? And a skill like trading can actually work alongside everything that you already do, and it does not have to take up your whole life, right? So even in thinking about it for myself, right? I still own 2 businesses with my husband, and I still trade all the time, right? But what trading does is it takes the pressure off of feeling like I have to rely on my businesses or my clients to bring in revenue. I can sit down at my computer and bring in revenue whenever I need to, right? So options give you options, which is why I love them, okay? So why is this super important for women? And why do I feel just super emboldened and passionate about this, right? Is because number one, there's so much misinformation and miscommunication. And even lately, as people have been reaching out to me, there's like a lot of scammy things happening on the internet, right? And we not about those games, okay? I have a really amazing community of women who are just committed to doing the thing, right? But some of the things that often come up that we hear, right, that I know many of you are probably already thinking, right, is trading is gambling, right? Ain't nobody gambling around here, all right? So the whole point of us getting into trading is because we have a strategy. Gambling lacks wisdom, it lacks strategy and intention, right? So with our trading styles, we create a strategy, a clear plan of when you're entering, when you're exiting, how much you're willing to risk on a trade, right? Myth number 2, I'm not good at math. Listen, same. You do not have to have passed AP calculus, right? It is literally pattern recognition. So if you can see the chart, you will know exactly what's happening, okay? Myth number 3 that comes up often is investing is for wealthy people. Wrong, wrong, wrong. The beautiful part about options is that you actually can start small. And we'll get into that a little bit later. And I'll explain to you all exactly what an options contract is, okay, in the broader context of investing, okay? The point is that no matter how small your investment is, time is always on your side. And when I say that, I mean it is much easier to compound your dollars by trading $20, $50, $100, whatever, than it is to wait and save $500, $1,000, $5,000 to trade with, because the time is always going to be there to accumulate your returns, okay? Myth number 4, I don't have enough time. The beautiful thing about Legacy League, we're in and out. Sometimes we spend an hour, sometimes we spend 30 minutes. Miss Angie, who is our foundations advisor, she's usually in and out for the day in 15 minutes. So and she's chilling, doing other things for the day, coaching our community, doing mentorship one-to-one sessions. And so there's a variety of ways that you could do this, right? There are some people who do sit at the charts all day. If you want to do that, that's your business. But for me, that's not freedom, right? And so we're here because options give us freedom and options give us options, okay? And the last myth that we hear a lot of is, I need a lot of money, right? And that's just not real. That's not real. We have traders that are trading $20 contracts, right? I think the other day somebody traded at like a $7 contract, right? It's not about the amount. It's about learning the skill, refining the skill, having accountability as you practice the skill, and being able to let those dollars compound, no matter how much it is, right? So every one of these, right, is a story that someone has told me about, like what they've heard before about trading, or maybe communities they've been a part of and it just maybe didn't work. And so today we're going to write a new story. Okay. So what I want to know is, what would change if you felt more confident making financial decisions like investing, right? Like, I hear a variety of things, but I'm very, very curious. If you want to be courageous and come off mute and share that, I would love to hear that. But if not, drop it in the chat, and I will try to read some of them so that people can kind of hear and understand that they're not alone in this, right? There's a lot of people who have nerves, who a lot of people, number one, who are fearful of what they don't know. And so you all are really already ahead of the curve by just showing up curious, right? That's half the battle. So who wants to share? What would change if you felt more confident about a financial decision like investing?
I'll share.
Okay, let's do it.
My name is Brittany. Thanks for sending the invite. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So my husband and I, we are on top of money pretty well. And however, there are some conversations we have with financial advisors, and I'm taking notes and I'm very interested, but I just don't understand. And so, and I do ask questions, but it's almost like they're going too fast. My husband understands, and I don't want to stop every 5 seconds. So
Yeah.
I'm missing some like root information.
Yeah.
And so I think if I felt more confident understanding this and making financial decisions, I would have a level of freedom in thinking and contribution when I'm in those meetings with them.
Yeah, come on. Yes, that's what we want now. that equal contribution. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that. Thank you for sharing that so honestly.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Anybody else willing to share like what would change like if you felt like that? Y'all are a shy bunch.
I'll share.
Let's do it.
I would invest more.
Okay. I love
Yeah,
that.
like I would just step out and invest in more things and know that what choices I'm making are the right ones.
I love that. Yes, yes. Wanting to make the right choice. I think that for me, when I first started, that was one of my kind of like things that kept me stuck because I was like, I want to make the right choice. Like if it's not right, like what is going to happen? I don't want to waste my family's money. I don't want to, be a bad steward. I don't want to not be responsible, right? Those were a lot of the things that were kind of in my head that kind of kept me from really leaning into it initially. Like when my mom first introduced me to trading, like I was a little resistant. Like I was just kind of like, I don't know, it sounds good, right? But I was like, I'd rather go and work this job, right? And now that I am on the other side of that, now I'm like, I'm never going back to a job, right? Like it's a completely different shift, right? But again, it was a process. It took me time, right? And I now understand that journey, which is why I am opening this up for other women. So okay, somebody just participated in the chat. Thank you so much. So they said my ability to pass on this valuable information to my children. Let's go, okay? Because listen, in Legacy League, one of the things that and I think I mentioned this earlier, right? It's work optional for yourself or your children. But my heart and vision for Legacy League Women as a whole is our children will be the lenders and not the borrowers. They will not have their life choices dictated by how much money they don't have or have. Okay? Like they will be able to have freedom of choice because money is not everything, right? It's not. However, money does give you options. It gives you autonomy. It gives you freedom, right? It allows you to show up in the fullness of who God created you to be. And that is the heart behind this, right? We are not being greedy. We're not just trying to have money for the sake of having money. No, we want to have more money so that we can be the hands and feet of Jesus, period. So that is what our community is focused on. There are lots of other trading communities. And if that is not your jam, totally cool with that, right? We are not for everybody, but if we are for you, like I want you to stay locked in, all right? So thank y'all for sharing that. I appreciate you all sharing those perspectives because I think there's so much that is that we have in common in that way, right? Especially as women. All right. So now I'm going to get into it, okay? I'm going to just break this all down for y'all very, very simply and practically, okay? So the whole point, right, of me even having these classes, teaching in general, is to help people understand it does not have to be complicated, right? A lot of people do make it complicated, but having taught in a university, I am very, very skilled at breaking content down, giving it frameworks, giving it context, and allowing for people to kind of come to their own aha moments around content. So it's really does not require math degrees. It does not require, what it requires ultimately is a willingness. And that is what I see most of the time. If you are willing to learn and be challenged, right? Like if you come across a new concept and you're like, let me sit with that for a minute, like, or I need to come back to that, right? That's totally cool. Okay. So let's break this down in plain English. Okay. So when we talk about trading, right, and we're talking about the stock market, you all have probably heard of stock, right? When we talk about stock, most of you have probably seen that like in your regular like 401k or 403b, where you're getting your retirement from your employer, right? Or maybe you're investing in a Roth IRA, right? So you have these like retirement accounts that you can buy stock, right? Stock is a small piece of ownership in a company, right? So, for example, if Apple is doing really well, it's coming out with a new computer or a new iPhone, right? Your piece of stock will go up in value because it's going to become worth more, right? That's how we think about the market in general, right? In businesses, right? When we think about options, we are saying, hey, I want a right to buy or sell a stock of this company, a piece of this company, without being forced to. Okay. So this is like, think of this like I have a coupon that doesn't expire for a week. So I'll break it down. I think Apple is going to go up, and I think it's going to go up before August 1st. So because of that, I'm going to buy an options contract, a portion of this company, and I'm going to buy it in a call position, meaning I think the price is going up. I'm calling the price higher, and it's going to expire August 1st. So if Apple does not increase in price and my call contract does not increase, I will lose that money if it does not increase by August 1st. Now, if I buy that contract, that options contract today, July 1st, and Apple goes up tomorrow, I'm selling that contract. I'm not waiting and hoping that it goes up even higher and being greedy and trying to hold it until July 30th because it's going to take my money. Right? So it's just that simple. And so when we talk about the market, right, and we're talking about calls or puts, a call is, I believe this stock, this value of this company is going to go up before this date. The price is going to rise before this date. When we talk about a put, we're talking about, I believe, or we're saying, I believe this price is going to go down. And so I want to be able to sell before the price drops. Okay. So a contract, options come in contracts. So you buy that portion of the company in a contract and you're agreeing on a specific date of expiration. Okay. And a contract is typically 100 shares in a company. Okay. But you don't have to buy 100 shares to get started in options trading, which is the beautiful part about it. Like I said, some people will buy contracts that are $20, right? It really depends on the company that you're trading stocks or options with and their price at the time. So we have, I mean, there's a million companies in the stock market that you can trade. So most of our beginning traders trade QQQ, and I'll show you guys what that looks like, right? But first, I want to break down why options work for busy women with less capital, right? Because, and when I say less capital, I don't mean like people who don't have money. I mean people who don't have as much disposable income to invest. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, having capital. Like we call it dry powder in trading, right? Like not having a bucket of extra money sitting on the side that you can trade with, right? So we typically advise our traders to start with $500 to trade live, but all of our traders that come into Legacy League are beginners. And so we actually don't even let them trade with cash money. They actually trade with paper money. It's a simulated system that allows them to still practice their strategies and get their profits correct before they go to cash. Okay. So the reason why this is really impressive and really attractive, honestly, to a lot of traders is because there's a lower cost, right? There's a lower point of entry because you don't have to have $5,000 to buy a stock in a specific company. You can buy a portion of it, right? And again, an options contract controls usually 100 shares in a company. It encompasses of 100 shares, okay? There's also the flexibility in hours. right? Many traders focus on 1 to 2 hours of the market, right? Our group specifically, we really like the first couple of hours of the market. So 9:30, which is when the market opens, Eastern Standard Time. We usually are in the markets between 9:30 and 11:30, right? And then people decide how long they want to be in during that time, okay? Some people also like to trade power hour, which is the last hour of the market. So that's from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. But you choose that based on your strategy, based on your lifestyle, based on whatever works for you. And I want to put here, because it's not on here, you do not have to trade every day. You trade according to whatever strategy you come up with. Some of our traders trade, I think we have a couple who are like in like executive roles, and so they trade like twice a week. Some people just trade 1 day a week, right? So it's whatever you need to get to the goal that you have, okay? The third thing that makes this work is there's a defined risk, right? So you only risk what you're paying for that contract. So if you buy a $20 contract, that's the most you could ever lose, okay? So if you buy that Apple call that expires August 1st and you hold it too long, the price goes up, but then it drops back down and you didn't get out when you were supposed to, then you lose $20. If August 1st hits and you didn't, it didn't rise to where you thought it was going to rise, right? But you get to determine that. The last thing about options is that I feel like it's much more easier to learn and to digest than some of the other ways to trade or items that people trade, right? Because options tend to follow a pattern, and patterns can be observed, taught, and learned, right? So a lot of our traders are here, which we love because they're moms and they want to teach their children or some of their grandchildren this skill, and it is a transferable skill, okay? Now, which of these, right, based on everything I've shared right now, I kind of got into trading. We just went straight in talking about options contracts, talking about calls versus puts, right? Up versus down. We talked about options contract being 100 shares of a specific company, right? We talked about you being able to have an expiration date and also being very clear about how much you're willing to pay for that contract, right? So as you kind of hear these new things, right? Many of you are probably very new to this space. Let's take a poll, put it in the chat, and let me know, A, which one feels most true for you right now is what you're answering, okay? A, I'm curious, but I'm overwhelmed. B, I've tried, but I've gotten lost. C, I keep saying 1 day, and that 1 day just has not come yet. Or D, I'm ready, and I just need some guidance. And if anybody, as always, if anybody's courageous, you can come off mute and just share your answer and maybe why. So I see some B's, I see A, I see a couple of, okay, let's see, Tamika's got B and D. Okay, I've tried, but I've gotten lost. Okay, that's super helpful. Okay, anybody, oh, lots of D's. Okay, anybody care to share why they answered the way they answered? Okay, no pressure, no pressure. I like to chat with y'all. So we'll keep the party moving. Thank y'all for sharing. I appreciate that. Okay, so now I want to introduce to you all the title of this class, okay? The Trading Training Wheels, all right? Now, this is a proprietary method that my mom and I have come up with because my mom is also a part of Legacy League Traders. She's an advisor in our private community. And the way that we've put this together, it still blows my mind some days of just how amazing it's been and how much success we've seen from the women in our community. And so I want to first kind of tap in with you about what we see and why some of the people that we've worked with, and even just more broadly, right? More broadly, when you think about trading, it's something like 70 or 80% of traders quit in the first 2 years because they really just struggle with leaning into something new and developing that consistency and that discipline that it requires, actually. So it can be sometimes challenging for people to come into a new thing, learn something new, and take guidance, from folks. So why most beginners never make it? These are some of the things that I've done too. Okay, so I'm just sharing. All right, so they watch random YouTube videos that don't give them context, that don't give them a clear system of how something works, right? They join chat rooms, or they try to like copy trades that other people are taking that they have no real understanding of why the person's taking the trade, why they're risking what they're risking, right? It's just kind of like that copy paste. Oh, well, they're doing this. And there's a lot of communities like that where they're like, they'll just trade live and they'll be like, okay, I'm getting in. Okay, you get in. Okay, I'm getting out. Okay, you get out, right? That's fine if that's how people want to do it. That is not how I teach, because my goal is for you to not be dependent on me, hence training wheels, right? So I give you the system. I'm going to create a system for you, but I ultimately want you to learn why you're doing something so that you can make the decisions that are best for your goal, okay? 3, a lot of people never make it because they didn't learn the why, right? Which is what I just described. 4, they lose money before they understand the rules. There's some traders actually in my trading group that they've never paper traded. They just went straight to cash money, right? Again, that's fine if that's what you want to do. But the point is you're going to pay tuition either way. So you'll either pay by having somebody guide you, a community, a mentor, or you're going to pay the market because it's going to take your coins. And then the last one is people don't make it because they quit and they blame themselves, right? They're like, oh, I don't get it. It's over. It's like too complicated, like whatever. And it's just not. And the problem is not you at all. The problem is the approach and how it's taught or how you're receiving the information. And also in a lot of communities, they don't provide like even for myself, when I learned, they don't provide kind of that hands-on guidance to help you like set everything up and make sure you're learning it. I had to learn all of that stuff by myself and with my mom helping me, right? So there's that as well. Now, our training wheel philosophy is this, okay? So you're riding a bike, right? The whole point is that you're not going to understand everything, and we don't expect you to. Right? We know that this is a completely new concept for people, and that's totally fine and appropriate, but it's the training wheels that keep you upright, right? So they anchor you, and you can return to them whenever you need to ground yourself back in the concepts of like, oh, this is what I should be looking at when I get in. Did I decide if I'm taking a call or a put? Like, did I even make an advanced decision of whether I believe the stock is going up or down, right? Because sometimes people just see stuff and they're like, oh, let me get in. I'm just going to get in. Again, gambling. That's not what we do, okay? So when you think about how you learn to ride a bike, right? Nobody started without training wheels, right? Like most people are using training wheels because they give you stability. They keep you from falling, right? But the goal was never to keep them forever, right? And so that's exactly how this works. Legacy League is the training wheels, and we've created a system to give you training wheels. And then as you build your confidence and you understand why you're doing something, right? And you're making fewer mistakes, your accuracy increases, right? So I like to say your competence and your confidence match, right? When that happens, then your training wheels come off, right? And that's when you're riding on your own. You're confident, you're independent, right? And you may not need the training wheels, but for those of us who are more advanced traders, right? Even for myself, I still am in a trading community, right? Like I lead a community, but I'm also a part of a community where I'm consistently investing in masterminds and courses so that I can develop more mastery in my own craft, right? So that I can then teach my community even more. So it's a real kind of secular process of just continuing to grow, continuing to learn, okay? And the goal is not dependence, right? The goal is for you to learn and eventually not need me. Okay. So that is the intention of Legacy League and why we have the training wheel philosophy, right? So let's walk through a real trade setup. All right. I'm going to share my screen in a second. But I first want to show you guys or kind of highlight what we're going to talk through. Okay. So when I open up this chart, what you're going to be watching for is what is the trend? Is it moving up or down? And I'm going to explain to you why that matters. Okay. And then I'm going to show you our training wheels and how you can use them. Right. And then you'll understand too, like how we manage risk, right? What you're going to need to know before this happens, and then how we protect our profits. Okay. So we're going to just do this really simple together. I'm going to open up a chart. And we're going to do one that I've never used before. So, okay, let me take some of my charting off here. Can you all see my chart? Okay. It's a messy chart. I'm going to make it clean for you. We had mentorship today, so. Okay. So you guys can see my chart, right? All right, so we're going to look. I'm going to make a blue line so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Open up this chart. And we're going to look from here, this blue line here on the left. And we're going to look to, let's look to here. Okay, you guys can see my chart, right? And you can see the blue lines, okay? Think of these like your guardrails. This is where you're stopping, blue lines. When I show you this chart, what do you see? Come off mute, put it in the chat. If I were to ask you, what is the trend? Where is the price moving?
It's going up.
Thank you.
And then it drops a little and then keeps going up.
Right. Come on. See? Y'all see? This is literally what I be trying to get people to see, okay? It can seem overwhelming, but once you get into this thing and when we teach you, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that I could learn it this simply, okay? So let's do another one. So if I take this away and we go over here, if I show you this range, what's happening in this chart between the blue lines? All right, I see them in the chat. All right, y'all. Yes, this is a downtrend. Okay. Now, I'm going to do some magic here. And y'all are going to be like, what the heck just happened? All right. I'm going to put on our training wheel. These are our Legacy League training wheels. Again, they're proprietary to our community, so they are not publicly available. All right. These are your training wheels. Did y'all see that? What just happened? Come off mute, put it in the chat.
I guess it's marked where, oh shoot, where it starts going down or up.
Yes.
There's markers.
Okay, and what would you assume by having those there?
I would assume that that's, I guess I don't know. I'm
No,
not
that's
sure.
okay. No, that's okay. I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you said that. Let me see what's happening in the chat. Anybody else want to come off mute? Okay, I see charts. Okay, I see people with answers. So we've got entries and exits. That's exactly what you're seeing. Okay, so I'll tell you this. You're seeing entries because we do not tell you when to get out. And that's intentional because that is really on you. It's about your risk tolerance. It's about what your strategy is because it really depends, right? Some people are trading, some people are scalpers, right? With Miss Angie, they're trading within a minute, 2 minutes max, right? And then we have levels traders, which trade with me. You're holding 10, 15 minutes, sometimes a couple hours, right? So it would just really depend. So we don't do a blanket like get out here, right? What we do with the training wheels is your training wheels are giving you the highest probability of a setup. Okay. So in those two zones that we just looked at, somebody mentioned earlier that it went up and it chopped, right? So this is what we call a chop box, right? I'm going to change the color. This is what this basically means is they couldn't decide on a price. The bulls, which are going up, called, and the bears, which are going down, puts, they couldn't decide on a price. So they're fighting over the price, right? But as you can see, the bears ended up bearing down on that price. They drug it all the way back down, right? And as you can see, your training wheels here tell you exactly when that trend is confirmed. So this would be your entry. Or if you were trading down here, this would be your entry.
And the bears would be your entry to sell?
So, okay, you're getting a little more advanced, okay? So again, we don't tell you when to sell, right? So some of our traders will get in here, ride it all the way up. They will hold it until they see the next dot, right? You could do that, but I'm going to tell you why we tell you not to. Why we tell you not to is because our goal is to always protect the capital, right? We are trading with our family's money. So we do not. So what we would tell you to do is we would track your levels. So you would have way more on your chart than this, right? So let me take this chart box off. So if you see this, right, we would probably tell you to exit probably somewhere around, let me put my X, probably somewhere around here, right? If I were to tell you, right? Or if I were taking this trade. And the reason why is because, and this is going to be more advanced, so if you've never heard this, just stick with us and be exposed to the language, all right? The reason why I would tell you to sell here is because this candle, the candles tell you something. This candle is what we call a doji. And it's an indication that the trend is potentially going to change. So if you got in here and your training wheels signal and confirm that this is your entry, I would probably either tell you to get out here because these are doji, right? Or if you felt a little more confident in your strategy, then you could hold it. And if you saw another one, then you definitely should get out, right? What people do is they get greedy. And they're like, oh, it's still going up. I'm going to hold it. And it goes red. Oh, I'm going to still hold it. I see one more green. I need more money. And look what happens. Boom. Take all your coins. And this, what we're talking about right now is what I teach levels, right? Miss Angie teaches scalping. In scalping, you literally would get in on your signal and you would sell this second candle. It wouldn't matter what else was happening. You would get in your signal, you would sell this second candle, no matter what's happening. Okay, so those are the two different types of strategies that we teach in Legacy League. Okay, so you've got scalpers in and out. They in and out. They out the market by 9:30 or by 10 o'clock. Market opens 9:30, right? And then you have levels traders. Those are the folks that are hanging out with me a little bit longer. So we usually be on till about 10:30, right? So, but again, you can trade at any point in the day because our community has their trading wheels. So you could get in the market, you can go on here and figure out your strategy. As long as you got your strategy down, you could take whatever entry and exit you want because you have your training wheels, right? And then if you have questions, then you just come in the Discord in our private community, you pop your questions over there. Hey, I took this trade. I think somebody took a trade today and they were positive, but then when they sold it, they lost like $2. And so they just came over to the Discord. They're like, hey, this is what happened today. I think they're paper trading though. So they were like, I lost $2. Like, what happened? right? And so that's where we give them coaching so that everybody in the community can learn from what people are experiencing in real time. Okay, so we've got our coaches over in the Discord who can literally give you coaching in real time. Okay, so that's the chart, y'all. That's literally that's literally trading. It's not complicated, and because we have our system built in, it's basically foolproof. So let's see, somebody says, is there a limited number of trades scalpers can make per day? Yes, in Legacy League, we don't suggest you make more than 2 to 3 trades a day. And that's whether you're scalping or levels. And that is because the higher instances that you have of being in the market, the more probability you have of being able to lose. It's greed. I'm telling y'all. When you, the day, and I'm just keep it 100%. The day that I took a trade and I made $1,500 in 7 minutes, I almost forgot all my rules. Like I was like, I'm about to trade all the trade. I'm about to get another trade. I'm about to get another trade, right?
You forgot real quick, yeah.
Right? Wrong. Okay. And so I have really had to, even myself, right? I have had to practice contentment, right? And I had to tell myself, Tiana, girl, you already took your 2 trade, you took your 3rd trade. Okay, you done for the day, right? And my own personal rule is if I take a loss, I'm done for the day, period. I'm not playing because I know myself and I know I would be like, nope, I'm about to get that back. I'm about to get back in, I'm about to get back in, try to get my money back, right? Wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, I know that about myself. So I don't even play those kind of games. I'm just like, all right, bet, I'm coming back. I'm showing back up tomorrow, though, and I'm about to get my 5-figure day. Right. So that is kind of the culture, right, of like our community and why it's super important to us to, even as people who teach it, right? Miss Angie's same way. Like we hold ourselves accountable too. Like we don't play around because we're like, no, we still need to be good stewards, right? So we're not playing those. So somebody just wrote in the chat, how do you pick which contract you buy? So for our community, everybody starts with QQQ because it's easy. It has the volatility, so it moves. When it moves, you really see that movement in your contract. Right? There's some tickers, some companies that you can pick and they just don't move as smooth, right? They may be a little more clunky or they may take a lot longer to get into a position. And us personally, we don't like those. They don't move, smooth enough for us. They don't have enough volume to make sure that the price can move to get you the returns that you need. So we start with QQQ, but every trader has their own stocks that they want to trade, right? I personally like Tesla, Nvidia, AVGO, AMD. Those are Dell. Those are kind of I kind of lean more towards tech in the stocks that I trade, but everybody trades different ones. But we do start with QQQ. Okay. So y'all did y'all first trading class. Y'all can read the charts. Y'all seen y'all trading reels, like y'all know what's happening, okay? So that's beautiful. I'm super excited for y'all. So look, before we go any further, I want to hear from y'all, like, what clicked? Did anything, like, did you have any aha moments as I kind of revealed this process to you and simplified our community and how we do things? You can come off me or you can put in the chat. Anybody? Okay, Sydney, thank you. Oh, awesome, Cassie. Cassie said the doji candle. Somebody said, I just need more practice. Absolutely. That's absolutely right. The entry. Yes. The entry, exit, and the doji. Yes. Amazing. Okay. I love that. Thank y'all for sharing. Somebody said the information is great. I just need to rip the Band-Aid off and paper trade. Yes. I'm telling you, paper trading is the way to go. The doji candle told me to watch for a turn trade. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It's all there in the charts, you guys. It's literally all there. It tells you exactly what to do, which is why we don't, because we've had some folks who have just asked us, like, can we just sign up and just use your training wheels, right? Some of our advanced traders. And that's cool. Like, we don't have an issue with that because they already know how to trade, right? But what the problem is, I think for me and just the way that I run my company is I don't want people coming here just because they see an X and a dot and depending on that, because they are gambling. They're going to blow their account if they do not understand risk management and how to get out, when to get out, why they're getting in and why they're getting out, right? Like, that's the whole point. So we are very, very big on educating, okay? That, like, we are educators through and through. So let's see what else. I see some more chats popping up. Okay, let's see. I love the God first methodology. Oh, yes, absolutely. All else will be added. Yes, when we demonstrate stewardship, responsible stewardship, absolutely. This was the biggest obstacle. I'm stuck in a put because of greed. Ugh, that happens. Yeah. If you're stuck in a put, like, listen, cut your losses. Don't play around with it. Don't let it go to zero, right? You'd rather recoup some of that contract price and you can get in another position than to hold it and hope. Like, if you're holding and hoping, it's game over, friend. Like, you just gotta take the loss. Somebody said, do you explain why the dot is an entry? Koya, can you come off mute and explain to me what you mean? Let me pull the chart back up.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
So, hi. I was just wondering, like, you have the dots and you're saying those are the entries. In
Yep.
your Discord, do you explain why that is considered the entry? Or,
We explained it in our foundations bootcamp, right?
okay.
So our traders, our beginner traders that join our community, they get a kind of a, like, on-demand foundations bootcamp if they choose to, right? And so in that, it's a 2-week course that allows them to get kind of hands-on support guidance with what we teach, right? But ultimately, what these are is me and Miss Angie, because we have two different styles. We basically figured out a code, a strategy that Miss Angie is like the genius nerd here in our group. And she coded this chart for us, right? So it's my strategy combined with her strategy. And what it does is it pulls the historical data, because again, the market is all about historical price action, right? So it's telling us, okay, this is the last place where the bulls took over. This is the last place where the bears took over. This is the last place where they fought over price, right? So this chart, all the charts are telling us the historical data. What we did is we coded this in the back end to make sure that all of the data compiles to give us the highest probability of a setup, right? So what you're getting in our system is basically our years of knowledge that we've been able to create this tool so that our community can use it for their setups, right? And we've tested it for a while now. It was funny, a few, like, maybe months ago now, I had my husband test it out because we were, like, just making some modifications to it. And he just got into a trade in the middle of the workday. And I was like, hey, get in this trade. Your signal came up. And he made like 40% in like an hour, right? And I'm like, where else can you make 40% on your money? Nowhere. Like, there's nowhere, right? But again, you gotta sit down and read the chart and understand, again, what you're doing, why you're getting in, when you're exiting, right? So let me see. Miss Angie says, being able to get in a trade and increase the probability of a successful trade. Yes, that is the X and dot definition ultimately, right? This is the highest probability of you having a successful trade. And if you even go back, right, historically, and even look at them, the ones that we've, that all the dots and X's that are on the chart, none of them are wrong. Like, they all confirm a trend every single time. every single time. So we stand 10 toes on it, right? Like our community uses this every single day. Okay. All right. Thank you all for sharing. I love the questions. All right. So now, okay, we already did the live demonstration. So, okay. So now we want to talk a little bit about like what happens. Okay. So, right. This was just a taste, right? I just wanted to show you all, right? Like what is possible, how we do it, what our style is for our specific community, right? Again, the training wheels don't come off in your first class, right? They come off through that repetition, through the community, through showing up for yourselves, right? Trading your plan and watching what the market gives you, right? We're not holding and hoping it goes up or goes down. No, we're looking at the charts, we're reading the data, and we're saying, based on what the data is saying, I am moving in this position because of this. And this is how much I'm willing to risk if I'm wrong, right? Because again, nothing's ever 100%. Right. But today was that introduction, right? And so in our community, we have education, we have monthly legacy labs where we share strategy, we talk about setups, we have Q&A, right? We have guided examples, right? There's no copying trading. It's not you move, I move just like that. It's no, what is your strategy for the day? Because everybody has a different one. And then you're very clear on what you're doing and what you're executing, right? We have our private community in Discord, women who are learning right alongside of you. We have guidance, again, in a private portal. You can ask your questions, right? We have a help link if you have like need help with setting up and things, but we also have that Q&A for questions. We have chart reviews. So folks are uploading their charts and they're telling us what's happening and where they're needing some more support. And then we have that accountability, right? The community is showing up, right? Everybody's showing up. They're owning their wins, they're owning their losses, and they're saying, hey, I lost today, and this is why. I reviewed my journal, and this is what happened, right? But it allows for people to kind of show up and rally and say, oh man, I remember when I did that, or I just did that the other day, right? So that you're reminded that you're not alone in this process. So as we kind of transition to the end, I want to have one of our Legacy League members come up. She actually is a Foundations Bootcamp graduate. In our last round, she actually was the winner. So I asked her to come on tonight to just share a little bit about her life and her story. And so Amy is here with us. Thank you for being here tonight, Amy. I'm gonna stop my sharing on my screen so we can see you and chat with you. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm super pumped to have you join.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I love you so much. Okay, so I would love for you, before we kind of go into the trading piece, for you to share just a little bit about who you are and what you do and beautiful babies and all the things.
Yes. Okay. So hi, everybody. My name is Amy Sanchez. I am a mom of four. I have four little boys from 3 to 12, a 3, a 5, a 8, and a 12. Okay. I'm also a licensed cosmetologist. I kind of put stuff on hold for a while I was raising my children. I love budgets. And I'm also a worship leader for my church, for Free Grace United in St. Paul and downtown.
Okay, I love that.
Yes.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Okay, and so like when we think about, our community, Legacy League in general, like what initially made you sign up for the training wheels?
Okay. So honestly, it was God. It was Jesus.
Okay.
I think I told you this story. I was in church about to get on stage and I'm like, okay, my youngest is about to go into 5-day preschool. I'm about to get back into working more and just doing more to help contribute to the family monetarily.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Lord, what do you want me to do? Like, where would you like for me to start? I know I have plans, but I'm like, is there something specific you want me to pursue? And no kidding, like, I got done with that prayer, Tiana, I got your text. And I'm like, okay, And then it was you too. Like, I love you so much. And I know like the type of woman you are. I'm like, if Tiana is backing something, there's something to it. And I literally signed up immediately.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love you too, Amy. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about first day because boot camp was
Yes.
intense. Okay, like
Yes,
boot camp was
it
intense.
was.
Um,
It
can
was
you
good
talk,
though.
can you talk a little bit about like how you felt before jumping in? Like if you were nervous, like what was it before?
I was so nervous. I was like, I know I'm gonna be overwhelmed. I thought about trading and I was like, nope. Like there's too many. There's charts and there's numbers and there's all these things. I'm like, what does all that little stuff means? I'm like, there's no way. So I'm like, I went into it being nervous but I'm like, I know there's nothing that you cannot learn if you have enough time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if the Lord told me to do it, I'm nervous or not, I'm jumping in.
Okay. Okay. And how do you feel now having gone through it and ended up being the winner in the last boot camp?
Well, I'm honestly I'm shocked.
Okay.
I'm proud of myself because I showed up every day just ready to learn. And I wanted to absorb as much as I possibly could. And the fact that it's clicking to me, like I never even fathomed I would be charting, right?
Okay, yeah.
But I am more confident now, knowing that I have the training wheels and reading the charts. And sometimes I don't even look at the training wheels, and then I'm looking at the how everything is moving. But it's honestly, it's wonderful.
Oh my God, you just made my whole day. Okay, so as mom, busy mom,
Yes.
kids, I know some boot camp mornings you were doing summer school drop-offs.
Yes,
So-
literally listening to it in the car.
Yes.
Like I'm about to go back and listen to the whole thing later, though. Yes,
Yes.
I had my two oldest were in summer school, so I was
Okay.
dropping them off every single morning.
And you made it work.
I did,
So,
yes.
okay, so what would you say to a woman who is thinking, this is too complicated. I need to be good at math. I don't know if this is going to work for me. What would you say to her?
Oh my gosh, I would say just try. Like honestly, given enough time, there's nothing you cannot learn. And the way you and Miss Angela explains things, I think is what really made it click to me. So I'm like, I'm busy. I have all this stuff to do, but it really does not take that much of your time. And that's what I really loved about it. So I could get in and get out. I still went and worked out every morning. I'm like, just give it a try and trust yourself and trust the Lord. And you guys are great teachers. And you're so patient. I think I said that. You guys like throughout the whole thing, all the questions, the little questions, big questions, you guys answered everything with love. And I really appreciated that.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. Anything else you want to share before we jump back in?
Yes. So, okay, I'm proud of myself. I really am because I was following how you did charting and everything, and I was a little bit trying to explain it to my husband because he found out I was learning to options trade. I was gonna surprise him, but I was explaining it to him. He was like, "Amy, you're speaking Chinese, okay? You basically said hello," and I was like, am I really saying this stuff out loud and I'm understanding what I'm saying right now? I'm like, this is blowing my mind. And then my son, because he knows, he saw me in my classes each morning before taking them. And he was listening into the calls too while I was driving. And he was like, Mommy, is this the stuff you're going to be teaching me? I said, yeah, baby, go ahead and listen up right now. And so he's listening to it in the car when we're going. And so like I was doing some charting last night and he was sitting just right next to me. And I was like, Lord, this is what I want to do. I'm like, Michael, if I could do it, you can do it. And you're starting earlier than me. Come on, you're going to be amazing. So I'm learning for them. Honestly, I'm learning to be able to teach my sisters, like, and just pass it on. Because, man, the money's out there. Like,
come on. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming tonight and just gracing us with your presence and your sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so welcome.
So, Okay, y'all, we about done. This is pretty much the end. Let me share my screen one more time and we're gonna jump into the end, all right? So listen, Amy, you got me a little misty-eyed over here hearing your story. I'm so grateful.
No, well,
I'm
thank
so
you,
grateful.
because it's all because of that one text you sent, and praise the Lord.
Yeah, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. So listen, y'all, right? We are, again, I encounter lots of women all the time, right? Between all my socials, content, all the things, right? I'm seeing lots and lots of women see my content, engage with my content, right? But when I am talking about this topic of money and just having women having more wealth, it gets uncomfortable. People get a little strange, right? Like they're like, what is this? And she's talking about money. I've gotten a lot of hate mail about, women. Oh my God, you're supposed to be a Christian, and these Christian women are, talking about money and blah, 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 right? And that's fine. That's none of my business. But what I will say is that you've heard my heart for it, right? Like you understand very clearly where I stand on it, and I stand on it unapologetically, because I just don't believe that it's God's intention for us to be broke. I just don't. And if our lives do not reflect heaven on earth, what will make other people want to be a part of the kingdom? We should have kingdom lives, period. And this is one of the best strategies that I have come across, right? That allows for me to really compound the things that God has blessed me with. And it allows me to bless others all the time. And so when we think about, right, the people who encounter this content, the people who actually click to learn more, those who registered for the class, and those who are actually showing up, right, this is what we see on average. But y'all are here. Y'all made it, okay? Y'all actually showed up. And that says a lot, right? Because you're actually doing most than most people would ever even consider. Like you're showing up curious to learn about something new. And that can be really scary, as I mentioned in the beginning. And a lot of people just don't do it. But ultimately, what we know to be true is, right, it is not about talent. It's not about intellect. It's not about luck or any of that. It is about being willing to learn, staying consistent, and continuing to show up every day with support, right? And recognizing that you eat an elephant one bite at a time. So we are helping women acquire that financial literacy, acquire that financial competence and confidence to be able to make decisions about their money, about wealth and investing and being strategic with the resources that the Lord has blessed them with. And so that is what we're doing. So you don't have to know everything, right? You just don't. You just need to have somebody who's willing to teach you. And again, the goal is not to have training wheels forever. The goal is for them to eventually come off. Like, as you heard Amy say, I'm still looking at the chart, but a lot of times I'm not even paying attention to the training wheels, right? The goal is for women to learn financial skills and create wealth in every area of their lives. When I talk about wealth, some of you are from my weekly show, Wealthy and Worthy. I'm not just talking about money. Money is the cheapest thing about us. I'm talking about wealth and our relationships and our health. Like Amy said, still being able to go work out every morning, right? Like we deserve to have that level of freedom and wealth in all areas of our lives. And so trading specifically options for our community gives you options, and options gives you freedom. And so that is what we're about, right? So if this sounds like something that is a fit for you, I trust y'all to know whether this is the next best step or whether it's just not the right time, right? But if this is the next best step for you, I want to go over with you what really comes in our community, all right? So if you join Legacy League Traders today, you will get the 2 weeks boot camp free. And we do have in your student portal, you will get access to all the replays. So you can rewatch it. It's yours forever. Your membership would also come with a private Discord community. Again, that's where we ask questions. You can talk with other traders, get support in real time. It comes with your monthly legacy labs, which are led by me. This past month, we talked about the 2 principles of Jesus, development and deployment. and how those are core functions of our lives as believers and why that's super important for us to continue developing as leaders and as traders and as wives and moms and all the things. It also comes with your Legacy League system signals, which are your training wheels that you saw, the dot and X, and we'll give you kind of instructions on how to get access to that. And then let's see, you get your private student portal. That's where all your replays are. Sometimes we'll have extra sessions. You can pop in and ask Q&A questions, and we also offer bonus content. So you can head on over to legacyleaguetraders.com if you want to sign up and join our next group. And again, that offer is good for our fast action takers. So listen, I believe in y'all, and I hope that makes two of us, because I really, really do believe that y'all are just really going to do incredible things on this journey. And I'm super excited for our community and would just love for you to join us. So thank you for being here today with us. And I hope to see you inside Legacy League.